عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قال دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني زوفا فقلت لو ويزك بالله يا بتاه من الزوف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يطلع كأنه البدر في ليلة التمام وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي لسان قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فاقبل الحسن نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله تأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك ودخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء ودنا الحسين هو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده والسلام عليك يا من اختار الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي وشافع أمتي قد أذنت لك ودخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبو الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم ها هو مع والديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله تأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسي وخليفتي وصاحب الهواء قد أذنت لك ودخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا بتاه يا رسول الله تأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي وبعزتي قد أذنت لك ودخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله في الكساء وهم بيد اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يولمني ما يولمهم ويازنني ما يازنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فجل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزيدة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء خمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن رسالتهم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبرائيل يا رب تأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله ولا يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك عزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مضية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدر ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فلتأذن لي يا رسول الله. فقال رسول الله عليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. ودخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد هوى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني برسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفر لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذن بالله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله ثانيا يا علي بل الذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبينا وفيه مهموم إلا فرج الله هما ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذن والله فزنا وسيدنا وكذلك شيتنا فازوا والسويد في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. زيا भाई بسم الله.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। अब समझ आया कि नाम इसका, अब समझ आया कि नाम इसका क्यों मुअल्ला है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। काबा में एक है हज तेरी ज़री पर 70, काबा में एक है हज तेरी ज़री पर 70, क्योंकि मौलूद भी काबा का यहाँ रहता है है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। वो जहन्नुम से निकल कर का आना देखा, वो जहन्नुम से निकल कर का आना देखा, उसने भी आपके लश्कर में खुदा देखा है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। और लड़खड़ाते हुए कदमों से जो आसी आए, लड़खड़ाते हुए कदमों से जो आसी आए, तेरा गाजी उसे सीने से लगा लेता है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। अब कहाँ चैन ज़माने में है ज़ाहिर की पुकार, अब कहाँ चैन ज़माने में है ज़ाहिर की पुकार, है मुझे कर वो बला जाना वो फिर कहता है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। शायरी कैसी सना कैसी है सब तेरा करम, शायरी कैसी सना कैसी है सब तेरा करम, लफ्ज़ भी सारे तेरे दर से ज़िया लेता है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। अब समझ आया कि नाम इसका क्यों मुअल्ला है सुना कर वो बला जाके खुदा मिलता है। दुरूद बर मोहम्मद।
बर मोहम्मद वाल मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन, आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन, तेरा चेहरा तेरी आँखें भूल कब पाई हुसैन, आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। चलते नाके से गिराया, खुद को जलती रेत पर। चलते नाके से गिराया, खुद को जलती रेत पर। घुटनियों के बल में तेरी लाश तक आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। बस में घबराई थी खंजर, तुझ पे चलता देख कर। बस में घबराई थी खंजर, तुझ पे चलता देख कर। फिर किसी मुश्किल में गिर कर मैं ना घबराई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। कौन था जो मरने वालों, मैं नहीं था कुबरू। कौन था जो मरने वालों, मैं नहीं था कुबरू। भूलने बैठी तो किस किस की ना याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवेद। दूर उफ्तादा सफर से लौट कर मैंने नवेद। ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। ठंडा पानी जब पिया बस तेरी याद आई हुसैन। आज भी ज़ैनब की आती है सदा भाई हुसैन। बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बुलंद सलावत।
नारे सलवात आबेद से ये वतन में किसी ने किया कला गुजरे कला से आदा कहाँ तुम पे या इमाम मौला ने 3 बार कहा शाम 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 सर नंगे मेरा था और गिर्द खासो आम बेवों के नाम ले के उदू शाद होते थे बाबा का सर भी रोता था और हम भी रोते थे आबेद से ये वतन में दूध पढ़ने
Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Alhamdulillahillazi la yablughu midhatuhul qailun wa la yusina ma'hul adun wa la yuwaddi haqqahul mujtahidun allazi la yudrikuhu buhdul himam wa la yunaluhu ghawsul fitan allazi laysa li sifati haddun mahdudun wa la natun mawjudun wa la waqtun mahdudun wa la ajalun mamdud فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسحر ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واركعوا مع الراكعين صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As these are the ayam of Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, and these are those days where, to be honest, we should be speaking about Imam Zayn al-Abidin because that's one of those Imams that a lot of the Shias, they have very little information about. If you ask many Shias, what do you know about Imam Zayn al-Abidin? The only thing that they would say is that we know that he was sick when the events of Karbala happened. But in reality, those moments of Karbala, those days that they were in Karbala, does not define the whole life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. If you look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin's life before Karbala, you look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin's life after Karbala, that's when you realize how much Imam Zayn al-Abidin did for Islam. That's when you realize what Imam Zayn al-Abidin gave for Islam. That's when you start realizing, when you look at the history that Imam Zayn al-Abidin lived in that time period that he lived in, you end up realizing how much he gave to Islam, even though the enemies weren't done with Al Muhammad yet. Even though the enemies were still looking to destroy, still looking to get rid of Muhammad wa Al Muhammad. So when it comes to this Imam of ours, we see that Imam Zayn al-Abidin, yes, the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And there's a misconception amongst the Shias, or they ask this question, was Imam Zayn al-Abidin, was he the oldest, or was it Ali al-Akbar the oldest? Because the narrations, they state what? The one that was Shaheed in Karbala, his name was Ali al-Akbar. Whereas the younger one was Ali al-Asghar. And because of this, there's been confusion about whether or not, or in which stage or where was Imam Zayn al-Abidin in regards to, was he the firstborn, was he the secondborn, was he the last? But when it comes to this, the narrations or some of the ulama, they say, look, when it comes to Ali al-Akbar, he was known as Ali al-Akbar. Why? Because there were two Alis that were Shaheed in the event of Karbala. There were two Alis that were Shaheed in the event of Karbala. And to differentiate between those two Alis, one was given that title of Akbar, the other was given that title of Asghar. Ulama, there's a group of ulama, they say this, but there's a group of ulama, they say, no, this isn't the case. This isn't the case at all. The reality is that these titles, Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Awsat, Ali al-Asghar, these titles were already given to the sons of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And they say that Ali al-Akbar, he was truly the eldest son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he was known as Ali al-Awsat, the middle Ali. And Ali al-Asghar, he was the youngest Ali. And when you go into history and you delve into it and you begin to understand why people started saying that Imam Zayn al-Abidin was the eldest Ali. Why? Because at that time, the Shias would think that it was the eldest son that would become Imam. Up until that time, the Shias, they would think, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, the Shias, they would think that Imamat, they didn't understand that Imamat, this was an uhda of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He can give this uhda to whoever He wants. No, they thought that Imamat was an uhda, it was a status that was only given to the eldest son when it came to Al Muhammad. So they say, look, Amir al-Mu'mineen after Amir al-Mu'mineen, who was it? Imam Hassan alayhi salam, eldest son. After Imam Hassan alayhi salam, who was the eldest? Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It went to Imam Hussein. So they thought that it was supposed to go to the eldest son. So the eldest son, they said, should have been Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Why? Because he received imamat. When in reality, imamat has nothing to do with being the eldest or the youngest. Imamat has absolutely nothing to do with that. Imamat is a uhda from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gives it to whoever He wants. He gives it to whoever He wants. And you see that was the case with all of the Imams. It's not that all of the Imams, they were the eldest in the families. No, they weren't. But when you come to the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, what I want to focus tonight on is what Imam Zayn al-Abidin gave to Islam. And what's sad is that he gave so much to Islam in the sense that he gave Sayfa Sajjadiyah. But how much have you read of Sayfa Sajjadiyah? How much do we know about Sayfa Sajjadiyah? He gave Risalat al-Huquq, the Treatise of Rights. How much do we know about those rights? If you look into the history, up until now, the UN has looked into Sayfa Sajjadiyah and they still look at some of the Risalat. They've looked at the Risalat al-Huquq, the Treatise of Rights, and they've used some of those rights of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. They've used those rights. You look at the rights that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he wrote to Malik Ashtar, when Malik Ashtar became the governor of Syria, or he was supposed to be the governor of Sham, the governor of Egypt. What does he do? He writes saying, Malik, do not think or do not delve onto the people that you're governing. Do not attack the people that you're governing and take away their wealth as if you're some sort of beast. Why did Imam Ali alayhi salam have to say that? Because the previous people that were ruling over the people, what were they doing? They were taking the wealth of the individuals. They were killing those individuals. They treated them not as citizens, not as people that they needed to right. No, they treated them as their slaves. The previous governments, they thought that these people, they work for them. When Amir al-Mu'mineen is telling Malik, Malik, they don't work for you, you work for them. They don't work for you, you work for them. And he's telling Malik Ashtar to keep that in mind. You look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin, the treaties of rights that Imam Zayn al-Abidin has, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, some of the treaties that he talks about, or some of the rights that he talks about, and you look at Sayyid Sajjadi, the du'as that he speaks about, those du'as in regards to parents, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, du'as in regards to parents, du'as in regards to children, du'as in regards to neighbors, du'as in regards to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam themselves, du'as in regards to asking for forgiveness, du'as in regards to sustenance. He has so many du'as in there. Yet, when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't use the du'as of Imam Zayn al-Abidin to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll use whatever comes into our mind. Why would we use whatever comes into our mind when a creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for rizq? Isn't his words the best words for us to emulate? If his words are the best words, if this individual is the best individual for us to emulate, then the words that he's spoken should have been the best words for us to emulate. When he's spoken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, in such a manner, then it should be becoming that we use those same words and speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because there's no creature, there's no human being on earth that can speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly the way that he deserves to be spoken to other than the Ahlul Bayt. When they speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they keep in mind the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then they do dua. They keep in mind the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then they do dua. Whereas we don't even know the alif when it comes to the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't even know the basics when it comes to the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet we do dua. Sayyid Sajjadiyah. When it comes to the rights of parents, for example, you look at those rights. When it comes to the rights of the individual, and this is the amazing thing about the du'as of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, about the rights of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, those du'as, those rights, they encompass all of Islam. They encompass all of Islam. If there's a dua that teaches you or tells you how to be a better individual, there's a dua that tells you how to make the community better. If there's a right that is speaking about the rights of an individual, there are rights that speak about the rights of the community. The rights of the community, rights of others, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rights of the parents, the rights of the children, the rights of mu'mineen, the rights of muslimin, the rights of kuffar, the non-Muslim. All of these people have rights. Hatta the rights of animals. The rights of animals. The rights that this body has, Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, he's the one who says that, look, the eyes, they have rights. The right of the eyes is that you do not look at anything haram. The right of the ears is that you do not listen to anything that is haram. The right of the feet is that you do not use them to go to any place that is haram. The right of the arms, the right of the hands is that you do not use them to do anything disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The right of the tongue is that you do not speak anything or say anything that is not conforming to what Quran says, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Meaning what? Do not lie. That's the right of the tongue. The right of the stomach is that you do not make it a house for haram. The rights of the individual. You look at the rights, for example, that Imam Zayn al-Abidin talks about when it comes to children. And this is what we need to focus on. Because a lot of the parents, they don't know the rights that the child has. A lot of the parents, they don't know what right the child has. The children, they don't know what rights the parents have. Then these are those children I'm talking about when they get older, when they're teens, when they're in that rebellious phase. They need to understand what rights the parents have. When they're young, no. They're free. But when they get to that phase where they're starting to rebel, that's when they need to understand what rights the parents have. But one of the reasons the children start rebelling is why? It's because the parents do not give them the rights that they have. Parents are not giving the children the rights that they have. When they don't give them those rights, then what do the children do? They start to rebel. And then when they start to rebel, they come to the alim. Maulana Sahib, my child, he is doing this. Can you speak to him? What do I need to speak to him? You're the parent. Did you give them what they truly needed? If you gave them what they truly needed, then they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be doing this. For example, in regards to children, the rights that parents, Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. The narrations, they say that Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, he wouldn't eat from the same plate as his mother. His mother, she passed away at a young age. But even the milk mother, he wouldn't eat from the same plate as his mother. One of the companions, Imam Sajjad, he asked him, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, why do you do this? He says, why? Because I'm afraid that I might pick up the same morsel of food that my mother wanted to pick up. I might pick up the same morsel of food that she wanted to pick up. And I'm afraid of that. That's why I don't eat from the same plate. What do a lot of the kids do? What's Imam Zayn al-Abidin? He's not eating from the same plate. A lot of the kids, before the parents even start, they're the ones that put their hands into the food and get whatever they want. Learn from Imam Zayn al-Abidin. This is the adab of the Imam. Let the elders, let the parents get it. And the parents too, what are they going to do? Are they going to put it for themselves first? No, the parents will always put it for the children first. That's what the parents will do. This is Imam Zayn. He would not even eat from the same plate. 1. 2. When it came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin, what was the first thing that he did after the Shahadat or after they came back from Medina? Do you all know? Even though Imam Abu Abdullah al-Husayn did not have any debts, he didn't have any debts. He came back, he would ask people to pay back the debts that Imam Hussein had. And today, what happens today? When a parent passes away, is that what the child is thinking about? You know, what parents or what debts do my parents have? What debt does my father have? I need to look after his well-being now that he's not here. I need to look after him for the next life. No, they're not thinking about that. What are they thinking about? What's the insurance policy my father had? What's the insurance policy my mother had? Why? What are you going to do with that insurance policy? I want to know how big of a house I can buy. I want to know the type of car I can buy. They're not looking at that anymore. They're looking at what? Some people, it's not becoming to say this, but they're just waiting for their parents to pass away. Why? Because of the insurance policy. This is rampant in the society that we live in, the Western society. This is rampant. But the problem is that it's creeping up into the Muslim society as well. They're just waiting until the parents are passing away. Why? Because of the insurance. Forget making up qaza prayers that the father had. Forget making him qaza fast. Forget making him hajj. Mother, father, doesn't matter. No. How much am I going to get? That's what's on everyone's mind. Then now you begin to understand the stark difference between Sayyid Sajjad and us. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, that title that he was given, look at that title itself. Every Imam, he has a title that is specific to that Imam. It's specific to that Imam. Imam Ali al-Islam, Ali al-Murtaza. Imam Hassan al-Islam, Hassan al-Mushtaba. Imam Hussein al-Islam, Hussein al-Shaheed. Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, Zayn al-Abidin is his title. It's not his name. Ali is his name. Muhammad is his name. Baqir is his title. Jafar is his name. Sadiq is his title. Musa is his name. Kazim is his title. These are all titles that are at the end of their names. Ali, that's the name. What comes after it is a title. Muhammad, that's the name. What comes after it is a title. Hassan, that's the name. What comes after it is a title. All the way to Imam Hassan Askari Islam. What is the title of Imam Zayn al-Abidin? This, Ali, Zayn al-Abidin. Ali, Sayyid al-Sajjad. This is Imam Zayn al-Abidin. He was known as what? Abid al-Muhammad. Do you know what it means to be called Abid al-Muhammad in a family, in a household where everyone was Abid? What does it mean when Imam Zayn al-Abidin has been given that title of Zayn al-Abidin, the ornament of the worshippers? What does it mean about this holy Imam of ours? Amongst these worshippers is who? The Holy Prophet. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to the Holy Prophet? Oh my Prophet, قُمِ اللَّيْلِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Oh my Prophet, stay up at night except for a little bit. Why? Because the Holy Prophet would be up all night worshipping. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Holy Prophet to lessen that worship. This was the Holy Prophet. He worshipped so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having to tell him to lessen the worship. Yet he's not known as Zayn al-Abidin. He's not known as Zayn al-Abidin. You look at Imam Ali alayhi salam, 1,000 units of prayers, yet he's not known as Zayn al-Abidin. You look at Imam Ali alayhi salam, arrows being taken out of his foot, arrows being taken out of his leg, still not known as Zayn al-Abidin. You look at Imam Hassan alayhi salam, you look at Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was shaheed while he was doing sajda, still not known as Zayn al-Abidin. But what is it about Sayyid al-Sajjad that he is known as Zayn al-Abidin? In every instance, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, Sayyid al-Sajjad, never missed any of his prayers. Just the same way Lady Zainab never missed any prayers. Imam Zayn al-Abidin never missed any prayers. The same way that Amir al-Mu'mineen used to pray 1,000 units of prayers, the same way Imam Zayn al-Abidin would use to pray 1,000 units of prayers. That same way. At the narrations, they say that in one of the gardens of Imam Zayn, there were 500 trees in that garden. And he would do Salatul Shukr for each one of those trees. Each one of those trees. Whether those trees bore fruit or not. No. Salatul Shukr. 500 times, which is 1,000 units. How many times have you and I prayed 2 units of Salatul Shukr for everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? No. Do you see the difference between the Imam that we believe in and his actions and our own actions? They're worlds apart. They're worlds apart. Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, the Masaib that he went to, inshallah, we'll get into those Masaib. But this holy Imam, he gave so much to Islam. Forget the rest of the Muslims. The people that believed him to be Imam. The people that believed him to be Imam. They didn't give him the rights that he deserved. They didn't give him the rights. What did Imam Zayn al-Abidin have to fight when he came back to Medina? It wasn't that everything was perfectly fine for him. No. When he came back to Medina, he had to argue against Shias that were believing that Muhammad Hanafi is to be the next Imam. Why? Because he was the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. What was the belief amongst the Shias of that time? That as long as the son of Ali is alive, as long as the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen is alive, no one else can be Imam. No one else can be Imam. Muhammad Hanafi was, or they took him to be, Muhammad Hanafi, he was the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So what did some of the Shias do? They started believing him to be the Imam. So when Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam came back, what was he having to do? He was having to fight against these beliefs that had already crept into Shia Islam. And what does he do? Did Muhammad Hanafi claim to be Imam? No. The ulama, they say he didn't claim to be Imam. But Shias, they took him to be the Imam. So what does Muhammad Hanafi do? He tells Imam Zayn al-Abidin, oh my nephew, in the time of Hajj, let's do Hajj, go to the Kaaba, and we'll ask Hajar al-Aswad who the rightful Imam is. What does the Imam say? Imam says, no problem. No problem. Why did Muhammad Hanafi choose the time of Hajj? It's because at that time, the most amount of Muslims gather in one place. The most amount of Muslims, they gather in one place at that one time. That's it. He wanted everyone to know, whether they were Muslim or Shia. He wanted the Muslims to know the status of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, and he wanted the Shias to know that he's not truly the Imam. It's this nephew of his that's the Imam. It's this nephew of his that's the Imam. What did they do? Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when they get in front of Hajar al-Aswad, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he tells Muhammad Hanafi, oh uncle, you go. Ask Hajar al-Aswad who the Imam is. Muhammad Hanafi, he asked Hajar al-Aswad. There was no reply. There was no reply. When there was no reply, Muhammad Hanafi, he tells Imam Sajjad, oh my nephew, now you ask. As soon as Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he didn't even finish, a call came from Hajar al-Aswad that you, Sayyid al-Abidin, you are the rightful Imam of the time. That's what Hazrat Aswad said. And what's Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And why wanted this stone? In fact, in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, after the Holy Prophet passed away, it was Umar ibn Khattab. He touched Hajar al-Aswad. And while he was touching it, what was he saying? Amir al-Mu'mineen was right behind him, and he overhears it. He touches it, and he puts his hands over it, and he goes, I know you can't hear, I know you don't understand, I know there's nothing special about you. I only do this only and only because the Holy Prophet did it. I only and only do this because the Holy Prophet did it. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was behind him, and he looked at him with anger, and he goes, and he tells him that you don't have the ma'rifat of this. You think that this is just a rock. You think that this is just a rock. But you don't understand that this, it came from the heavens, and until the end of time, it knows everyone that is going to touch it. It knows everyone that has already touched it. On the day of judgment, it's going to testify in the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it was just a rock, how is it going to testify? If it was just a rock, how does it remember who has touched it? If it was just a rock, how does it know who is going to come and touch it? Amir al-Mu'mineen tells them this. This was the ma'rifat of who? A Khalifa of Muslimin, who doesn't understand that even these objects in Islam, to him the Kaaba looks like a bunch of bricks. To him the Kaaba is just a bunch of bricks. But to the Imam of the time, they see the actual nur of that Kaaba, and they realize it's not the bricks that we're doing sajda towards. That nur is going up to the arsh. They see the nur. You and I won't see that nur. But the Imams, they see that nur. And that's what Imam Zayn al-Abidin was seeing. You look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam. Inshallah, one or two more miracles of Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, and that's where I want to end, because there'll be question and answer, inshallah, today, tomorrow, and the day after too. I just wanted the last day, but then I realized, this is something that is needed. So maybe 15 minutes should be enough for questions, 15, 20 minutes question and answer, and then we will be done. But when it comes to the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, Karbala does not define Imam Zayn al-Abidin's life. Karbala does not define it. If you want to define the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, you're going to have to read Saifai Sajjadiyah, and then you'll realize what it truly means to be a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's what truly defined the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what defined his life. And if you want to know that, look at Saifai Sajjadiyah. Look at the way he does du'as, for example. And what kind of du'as does he do? For his kids, what does he say? He says, Ya Allah, make these kids of mine, my kids, let them be strong arms for me. Let them be strong arms for me. Why? So when they get older, they can help me when I get older. In my old age, they can help me. This is the way Imam Zayn al-Abidin is doing dua for his children. And what kind of duas do the parents nowadays do for their children? Ya Allah, let them be rich. Ya Allah, let them have a good job. They're thinking about what? Only and only the worldly life. Whereas Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he's advising his kids, when he's doing dua for his kids, he's not only thinking about the worldly life. No. Making the kids arms, strong arms for the father. Does it just mean helping them in the worldly life? No, that's not what it means. Helping the father succeed in the other world also. Helping the father succeed in the other world also. You look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin when he is giving advice to his kids, what does he say? He says to one of his kids, "Oh my son, beware of certain types of people. One, be aware of a liar. Be aware of a liar. Why? Because a liar is like a mirage. A liar is like a mirage. What's far away, he makes it seem like it's near. And what's near, he makes it seem like it's far away. 1. 2, do not even sit with that individual that makes fun of religion. Do not even sit with that individual that mocks religion. 2. 3, be careful of that individual who's trying to do good to you. But because he doesn't know everything that when we want to give advice, this is what I mean. When we want to get advice, a lot of the times what do? We go to that person who has no reason to give you advice about a certain topic. They have absolutely no reason to give you advice. But because they're our friend, we'll get advice for them. My friend knows absolutely nothing about business, but I'll go get advice from him. What does he know about business that I'm going to get advice from him? They don't know anything about medicine, but we'll go get advice from them. And a lot of the times, these people, when we don't even ask them for advice, they give us their advice. I'm sick. Oh, take this medicine. Okay. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, what did he say? He says, be careful of these types of people. They mean good, but then in reality, they end up harming you. They mean good, but in reality, they end up harming you. But today, what kind of advice do the parents give the kids? Oh, let him make mistakes, he'll learn. Let them make mistakes, they'll learn. The point is to not let them make that mistake. Tell them that this is a mistake, so then they don't make it. Tell them that this is a mistake, so they don't make it. Don't let them make the mistake and then say, oh, they'll learn from it. This is the type of parenting that happens now. You look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam, compare the way he parented with the way you parent. Compare it. You look at the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin al-Islam. What did Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when some of his companions, they came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin and they asked him, Sayyid Sajjad, now you're crying, this is too much. He cried so much that the narrations, they say that there were 5 individuals. There were 5 individuals who cried so much in their life. So much in their life. From Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was the first. The narrations, they said that he cried for 40 years over what happened to Habil. 40 years over what happened to Habil. Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, crying over Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. Hazrat Zahra salawatullahi alayha, crying over what happened to the Holy Prophet. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, Sayyid Sajjad alayhi salam, over what happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Think about that. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam cried for 40 years. Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, he cried for over 14 years. Both of them are known as those 2 individuals that cried the most in their life. Lady Zahra salawatullahi alayha, how much did she cry after the passing away of the Holy Prophet? 3 months? 45 days? Maximum 6 months? Meaning what? Meaning that the amount of crying that Lady Zahra did in those 45 to 60 days, Hazrat Adam did in 40 years. The amount of crying Lady Zahra did in that time period, Hazrat Yaqub did in 16 years. You look at Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. He's also known as one of those individuals that cried so much. The amount of crying that he did, it wasn't near in terms of years of Hazrat Adam. Yet he is known as one of those individuals who cried the most in the world. But what was Imam Zayn al-Abidin crying over? I know the Shahadat Imam Zain al-Abidin happened. It was yesterday. What was Imam Zayn al-Abidin crying over? When Minhal, he comes and asks Sayyid Sajjad, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, where was it that you were troubled the most? Where was it that you found the most difficulties? Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he saw everything. He sees Karbala. When they were leaving, he saw Ali al-Akbar. He saw Abul Fazl Abbas. He saw Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Hatta the narration state that when they were leaving Karbala, what does he do? Alaykum salam. When they were leaving Karbala, he puts his own body over the body of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. And Lady Zainab, she's the one who's comforting him, telling Imam Sajjad, oh my nephew, Shahadat was written for my brother Hussein. Shahadat was written. He saw all that. But when he was asked, where were you troubled the most? What does he say? Minhal, Asham, Asham, Asham. What was it that happened in Sham for which Imam Zayn al-Abidin would be crying the rest of his life? Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallallahu alayki ya Siddiqatu Fatima. Sallallahu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtaba. Sallallahu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Ya Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Brothers and sisters, when he was asked, say the Sajjad, what happened in Sham? That you're saying that it was Sham that you faced the most difficulties. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, the first thing he says is that in Sham, what was happening? I saw all of those people, all of those women, they had a cover on their head, but my aunties, my sisters, they had no covering on their head. Minhal, that was one of the reasons that I say that Sham was one of the most difficult places that I had faced. And he goes, Minhal, that's not the only thing. Minhal, what angered me, and the reason I say that it was Sham that was the most difficult, was when we were going through it, there were people that were giving sadaqah to Al Muhammad, not knowing who Al Muhammad was. Minhal, I say Sham, why? Because there were people that were throwing not just trash, but they were throwing hot coal on top of Al Muhammad when they were going through the street. And some of that coal, what happened to it? It struck my turban, it burned my turban, and it would burn my hair and my skin. Minhal, I say Sham, why? Because what we had to face in the Zindan. I say Sham, why? Because what we had to face in front of Yazid. Oh Minhal, the wife of Yazid has come. She does not have anything uncovered. She's completely covered. But my auntie Zainab, my auntie Umm Kulsum, they have their hair uncovered. What happened in Sham? When they get to Sham, brothers and sisters, the wife of Yazid, she finds out that people have been brought from Medina. When she finds out that these are the people of Medina, she tells her servants that I'm going to come and see them. When she comes and sees them, Lady Zainab, she looks at Kulsum and she says to her, oh Kulsum, do you know who that is? That's when Kulsum, she looks at Zainab, she says, oh my sister dear, I don't know who that is. I can't see that far away anymore after my brother Abbas has left this world. That's when Zainab, she says, oh Kulsum, look carefully. That's Hind, that's the lady that we taught to how to do hijab. She's in hijab and we have no hijab. When Hind comes, she was in a beer. She comes and she sits down. When she sits down, she asks these women, where are you from? And they say that we're from Medina. When she hears Medina, she says, if I ask you about certain individuals in Medina, can you tell me how they're doing? That's when Lady Zainab, she says, who do you want to know about? That's when Hind says that in Medina, my master Abu Abdullah al-Husayn was there. Can you tell me about him? Lady Zainab, she says, Oh lady, please ask me about someone else. That's when she says that he had a brother who was a mirror image of Ali al-Murtaza. His name was Abbas. Can you tell me about him? She says, who else do you want to know about? She says that he had a son who was the mirror image of Rasulullah. His name was Ali al-Akbar. Can you tell me about him? And she says, who else do you want to know about? She said he had another son. His name was also Ali, and he was known as Zayn al-Abidin. Can you tell me about him? That's when Lady Zainab, she says, oh Hind, are you not going to ask about the daughters of Amir al-Mu'mineen? That's when Hind, she starts yelling and she says, oh lady, please do not take the name of Zaynab. Please do not take the daughters or the name of the daughters of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They're the daughters of Fatima Zahra. Do not take their names in this place. That's when Lady Zainab, she says, oh Hind, do you not recognize me? I am Zainab. If you wanted to know about Hussein, look at that head over there. That's the head of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You want to know about Abbas? That's the head of Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam. You wanted to know about Ali al-Akbar? That is the head of Ali al-Akbar. You wanted to know about Zayn al-Abidin? That individual in the back, he is Zayn al-Abidin. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wal-la'natullah ala qawm al-kafirin. Please recite a Surah Fatih for your marhumin, a Surah Fatih for the marhumin whose names are on the wall in the back, and Surah Fatih for all of those mu'mineen, mu'minat, marhumin, mu'minat that do not have anyone to recite Surah Fatih on their behalf. Bismillah. 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 اللهم اغفرهم وارحمهم واسكنهم بجوار محمد وآل محمد. معتم حسين.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, and Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. तायों आबिद रत रोया उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है फुफियां बेरदा तायों आबिद रत रोया उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है फुफियां बेरदा तायों आबिद रत रोया बर्दाश्त कर न सकिया बर्दाश्त कर न सकिया गैरत दाए खुदा तायों आबिद रत रोया उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है फुफियां बेरदा तायों आबिद रत रोया कित मजमा लईना दा कित दारा दियां पलियां मुँह वाला दे नाल कज के बाज़ारां दे विच गलियां मंगदी रही बुर के रो रो मंगदी रही बुर के रो रो कौन लैन दी मलका आबिद रत रोया उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है फुफियां बेरदा तायों आबिद रत रोया ज़ैनब दे खुतबे सुन के हसदे सी शामी सारे तोहफे समझ के पत्थर जदों शामियां ने मारे बालानु जख्मी कीता, बालानु जख्मी कीता, बेजुर्म बेखता तायो आबिद रत रोया। उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है खुफियां बेरदा तायो आबिद रत रोया। सर नंगे रुलाया कुल नबियां दी गैरत नू, क्यों कलमा गोया कीता शर्मिंदा रिसालत नू। नेज़े तरैये रोंदी, नेज़े तरैये रोंदी, अब्बास दी वफा तायों आबिद रत रोया। उम्मत ने कैद कीतियां है फुफियां बेरदा तायों आबिद रत रोया।
या हुसैन 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 या हुसैन। हिन्नों के सफार यतीमी दे बाबा मैं भौ जख्मियाँ, तेरा सीना मैं को नहीं मिलदा, भदी मिट्टियाँ ते समधियाँ। मैं को गिरवज बाबा नाल अपने, इस जिंदगी तो थक पईयां, मेरे वांग यतीम न कोई होवे, मेरे वांग यतीम न कोई होवे। ए रोज दुआ मंग दिया, तेरा सीना नहीं लभदा, बाबा मैं रुल गईया, तेरा सीना लभदा, बाबा मैं रुल गईया। इंज लथ है तुर मेरे, इंज लथ है तुर मेरे, ओते कुराना भूल गईया, तेरा सीना नहीं लभदा, बाबा मैं रुल गईया, तेरा सीना नहीं लभदा, बाबा मैं या बाबा मैं कुशाम के लोकां ने तेरे बाद कनीजी विच मंगया, बाबा मैं कुशाम के लोकां ने तेरे बाद कनीजी विच मंगया। मैं गैरत सैयदा दी, मैं गैरत सैयदा दी, ओ वेले मर गईया, तेरा सीना ने बाबा मैं रुल गईया, तेरा सीना नहीं लभदा, बाबा मैं रुल गईया। जद गल तेरे जरबा चलियां, मैं कोल खलो के ढेंदी रही, जद गल तेरे जरबा चलियां, मैं कोल खलो के ढेंदी रही। नहीं मिले असर तेरा, नहीं मिले असर तेरा, उतर ले कर दी रैया, तेरा सीना नहीं लभदा, बाबा मैं रुल गईया। या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
Salam Ghazi,
सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी
जगह जगह है अलम गवाही, दिलों पे तेरी है
बादशाही
जगह जगह है अलम गवाही, दिलों पे तेरी
है बादशाही वबों पर तेरा है नाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी
तेरे अलम का है हम पे साया,
अवम पे साया है पंचतन का तेरे अलम का अवम पे साया अलम पे साया है हम पे चंद पवन पे तेरा मकाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी सवाम गाजी सवाम गाजी वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا حبيب الله السلام عليك يا حجة الله السلام عليك يا رحمة للعالمين السلام عليك يا باعث الهدى ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا سوب الدين السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين السلام عليك يا أبا محمد حسن مجتبى عليه السلام السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين خصوصا أبو الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي عليه السلام السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد عليه السلام السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر عليه السلام السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى عليه السلام السلام عليك يا مولانا غريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء الفقراء السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس انيس النفوس ايها المدفون بارض الطوس السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي عليه السلام السلام عليك يا علي ابن محمد عليه السلام السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي عليه السلام السلام عليك يا مولانا صاحب الأسر والزمان اللمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان أجل الله تعالى فرجك وصال الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته اللهم صل على
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه الزكاة ودمته فيها طويلا برحمتك يا